Good afternoon, folks. My name is Andy Sachs. Welcome to Smith+Nephew, where for over 165 years we've been dedicated to what works. A simple but powerful idea that's steeped in a tradition of innovation. From 1914, when Smith+Nephew created innovative, life-saving field dressings, all the way to today's broad range of advanced wound care solutions, Smith+Nephew has simply offered what works. Now, folks, these solutions are backed by the kind of robust clinical evidence that helps give you confidence in achieving the best possible outcomes. Now, as I'm sure you know, chronic wounds are widespread and they cause tremendous suffering for patients. Healing these wounds can be a real challenge, sort of a puzzle that clinicians like you have to solve while constantly assessing the best path to good outcomes. To solve this puzzle, you need what works. So, let's take a few minutes to take a look at some Smith+Nephew solutions, and to make things a little more interesting for you along the way, I will have you solve some puzzles of your own. In fact, let's try one right now. These squares indicate a two-word phrase that represent part of our What Works portfolio of solutions. Now, the letters will start randomly filling in, and as they do, let's see who can solve the puzzle first. Once you think you know the phrase, simply go ahead and call it out. There is no need to raise your hand. Let's take a look. I heard skin, that is the first word. Skin substitute, Michelle. I had my money on you the whole time. Skin substitute, very well done. Now, for some chronic wounds, treating with a skin substitute may be the best option for healing. And because wounds don't come in predictable sizes or complexities, you need reliable, viable choices. Smith+Nephew is your go-to for cellular and/or tissue-based products. Graphics and Graphics PL are human placental tissues. These structural tissues feature a collagen-rich matrix, native human growth factors, and endogenous placental cells. Folks, many placental tissue products out there are available, of course, but most have only growth factors and an extracellular matrix. Advanced preservation methods minimize manipulation of the native amniotic membrane and retain all three native components of placental membranes, including native placental cells. Folks, the membranes naturally conform to complex anatomies, and they're designed to be applied directly to wounds and compromised surgical sites as well. Two storage options here available for you. Graphics is cryopreserved and Graphics PL is lyopreserved, and it's stored at room temperature for off-the-shelf convenience. Graphics products are ideal for wounds up to 25 square centimeters, and their efficacy is backed by high-quality clinical evidence. In fact, before we look at some of that evidence, what do you say we solve another puzzle? This is a 10-letter word that describes one of the biggest challenges in healing chronic wounds. Now again, as soon as you think you know that word, go ahead and call it out. I heard recurrence again from Michelle, is that right? No, you're doing great. Recurrence is the word. Speaking of recurrence, folks, in a new and recently published study reviewing over 7,800 Medicare records, Graphics membrane showed a significant reduction in the recurrence of lower DFUs compared to other CTPs. Only 45% of DFUs treated with Graphics reopened after 30 days, whereas DFUs treated with other cellular products, they had a recurrence rate of 72%, and as you can see in wounds treated with acellular products, 81% of those recurred within 30 days of treatment. Folks, the evidence is clear. For treatment of wounds that are up to 25 square centimeters, Graphics products are what works. But what about larger wounds? Well, that's when you should consider Oasis Matrix products. Oasis is a porcine-derived, intact, three-dimensional extracellular matrix that acts as a kind of scaffold to support the body's own healing process by allowing cellular migration, vascular ingrowth, and the formation of granular tissue. Ideal for acute and chronic wounds larger than 25 square centimeters, it's available in 1, 2, and even 3-layer options. In fact, in separate studies on DFUs, Oasis Ultra Tri-Layer Matrix was 2.6% times faster in median time to closure than PureApply AF. Now folks, before we look at our next solution, let's go ahead and solve another puzzle together. This is an 11-letter word that represents an important method of treating chronic wounds, very familiar to it. And again, once you think you know that word, just go ahead and call it out. Did you already say it? Debridement, that's right. I think that was 0.6 seconds, so very, very well done. Michelle, you got some serious competitors in this audience. And folks, that brings me to collagenase xanthol ointment. This is the only FDA-approved enzymatic debridement agent indicated for debriding chronic dermal ulcers and severely burned areas as well. How does it work? Well, xanthol provides debridement at the macroscopic and the microscopic level without harming healthy tissue. It works to cleave necrotic tissue at 7 specific sites along that denatured collagen strand, unlike endogenous collagenase, which of course cleaves at just one site. But we now know more about what's happening in the wound bed itself when debriding with xanthol. So let's go ahead and solve another puzzle to illustrate that point. This is another 2-word phrase, and again, as soon as you think you know it, go ahead, call it out nice and loud. What do you think, folks? Anybody want to venture a guess, even if you know just one word? I heard it from this gentleman first, granulation tissue. You would all be excellent as Wheel of Fortune contestants. You're a very impressive group. Enzymatic debridement with collagenase xanthol ointment not only removes barriers to healing, but it also creates bioactive peptide byproducts that recruit cells that contribute to the formation of granular tissue and microvasculature. Obviously, sharp debridement, that's also a powerful tool for treating chronic wounds, as you know, but effective debridement is not necessarily a matter of choosing between sharp or enzymatic. In fact, the truth is, teamwork makes the debridement work. Studies have shown that for best outcomes, consider using both enzymatic and sharp debridement. And here's the proof. In a recent study of DFUs at 6 weeks, sharp debridement alone reduced ulcer area by 36%, and as you can see, sharp debridement plus xanthol reduced ulcer area by 68%. Now, you want to learn a little bit more about these? You want to learn how these products can really work for your patients? I hope I piqued your interest. You can visit our staff at the Xanthol, Graphics, and Oasis stations. That's where they can help you explore our case studies. And you'll find clinical evidence that these products are not only what works, well, they're shaping what's possible along the way. But there was so much more to explore in the booth as well. You'll also find a lot more of what works, like, for example, Renesis Touch over here, Pico, and a leave-in right around the corner. Folks, thank you for your time and attention. We hope you spend a few minutes chatting with us in the booth, and I wish you a great afternoon here at SAWC in Washington. Thank you for coming by. Oh, thank you.